Well, folks, I got my Compaq Deskpro EN today. Drove up to Jersey City, New Jersey, which is pretty much the ghetto. Things you have to do to get a cheap computer these days, and a cheap old one at that. Went up there, picked it up for 40 bucks, walked back with it. On the way there, we had low tire pressure. That was fun. So we had to get AAA to come fill it up. So that was nice. Luckily, we thought it was going to be a flat tire, but apparently the tire did have a blowout at one point, and it was patched, and the patch has a slow leak in it. So that's on my mother's new Subaru. We drove up there with the intention of spending the day in New York, but that got kind of cut short by the tire problem. So that's unfortunate. But I got to pick up my Compaq. Yeah, there you go. There she is. That DVD drive I added, it came with a different one. In fact, it came with this very one that I stuck in this Acer case here. This particular DVD drive is what was in it, and it wasn't fastened by any screws. Luckily, there were extra compact screws in there, so I managed to get that all taken care of. This is a white DVD-ROM, which should be good enough. As you can see, there's a clue right here as to who used to own this particular computer, and that would be Random House Incorporated Publishing Company, because that, I believe, is an asset tag. So they were probably getting rid of this thing. They were probably throwing these out, and an IT guy went, hey, I'll take it. And that's how this guy ended up with them. The guy that I got these from is an IT guy who works around in New York City. So there you have it. So what do we have here? We have a couple of vents here. The number 2, which is because this is the second particular unit that was in the Craigslist listing. Get your power button down there. You get front panel audio, DVD drive, floppy drive there, model number there. This, as you can see, this is an original. Originally, this had a Pentium 733 megahertz, which is still in there. It had a 10 megabit Ethernet, a 6 gig hard drive, and 128. So eventually, somebody put 256 in here at some point. But when I got it, it had 128. And it also has a Windows 2000 product key on it, which I probably won't be using. You can get those anywhere on the internet, so I don't really care if you copy it. Thing doesn't want to stay on. Anyway, I'll show you the. I would like to add this machine was pretty dirty when I got it, so I did clean it up. There was some nasty grit and crap all over the top, so I cleaned it out, dusted it out. It was full of really nasty dust bunnies and stuff, so I had to do that before I really brought it in the house. Alright, in the back you have your power supply. You have serial, audio, parallel, Ethernet, another serial port, 2 USB 1.1 ports, VGA for the onboard video. For some reason, I thought these had onboard TNT too. I misinterpreted that from an eBay listing. These actually have onboard Intel 815 graphics, I believe. So I'm going to have to add a video card later to get that functionality back for the TNT2 at least. And PS2 keyboard and mouse. There you go. Well, and I also added a sound card in here. I added, since the onboard audio apparently is not great, I stuck in the Sound Blaster 128, which adds a joystick port and quite an array and a nice array of audio hookups. So that should be nice. Well, that's the outside of this machine. It's not particularly interesting. So. Well, actually, the bottom might be. So there is a assembled in the USA. Look at that. That's notable right there. This right here is the built-in speaker. Actually, has a built-in speaker on the side, which is kind of nifty. If you don't feel like hooking up your own speakers, you can at least hear audio. Crappy quality audio, but nonetheless audio. Now, to open one of these up, you just Basically, you just hit these buttons here, undo whatever it's fastening to there. This one doesn't want to stay, so let me see if I can just pull it. Yeah, there we go. Then you pull it, and it just lifts off. No screws at all. These are quite nice computers for that reason. There's the DVD drive I put in here, DVD-ROM. It's a light-on DVD drive I got from the thrift store some time back, and it's been working fine ever since I had it. In here, included was a Seagate. It's not the original drive, but it is a Compaq replacement part. It's a Seagate Barracuda 15 gigabyte hard drive. I did check it earlier, and it has about 5 reallocated sectors on it. So this drive obviously can't be trusted with anything important, but it is still usable. The read and write tests work fine, so I can still use it as a drive, but I just wouldn't put anything important on there. There's the sound card I stuck in there. There's the power supply, which is not the beefiest power supply in the world. 120 watts maximum. Yeah, it's not very powerful. And there's the speaker. I don't know what this is. It looks like a piece of tape or cardboard or something. Either way, that's definitely a speaker. So there you have it. Nice thing about these little Compaqs is that they're quite modular. You can just lift things up, and it's mostly toolless. And lift this power supply. I can take the card cage out here. There you go. And then you have 3 PCI slots to work with, one of which is populated by a Sound Blaster 128. Eventually another one's going to be populated with an NVIDIA Riva TNT2 PCI card, so I can play my Windows 98 games, and DOS games, and what have you. This also lifts up, so you get access to the heatsink and the CPU down there. It's a Pentium 3 in there. I put 512 megs of RAM in here to boot up Ubuntu, so that I could check the hard drive and just see if it worked and everything. Power supply also lifts up like that. And there's your board. Oops. Might help if I put that in the right direction. Come on, get in there. There we go. And there you go. And she works. I did test her earlier. I'm going to boot up Ubuntu on this thing and show you guys what the chipsets are and all that fun stuff, and show you the hard drive and what have you. So let me put the top back on. We'll go have some fun with this thing. I also got the keyboard with it, keyboard and mouse. However, it is not this cordless keyboard here. I wouldn't have got that for free, I can tell you that. I did get a power cord with it as well. What it came with was this HP keyboard here, which is probably what was being used with it. And one of these HP mice, which looks like a Logitech mouse to me. So it might actually be a pretty nice mouse once I disinfect and clean it. Same with the keyboard. So the keyboard just be knocked around. This mouse actually looks like it's pretty good, so I might use that. But there you have it. Let me button this thing back up, and I'll boot up a Linux disk on it, and we can take a look at the chipsets and the hard drive and what have you. Alright, I have this all hooked up. Got a monitor, an IBM Model M keyboard here, and a Dell mouse. So I'll get my Ubuntu disk, and we can start this thing up and see what she's got. Alright. boot her up here. Compaq. Let's go to setup actually. The memory size is different from the last startup. No, it's not. Alright, here we go. It's a Compaq Deskpro. It's a Pentium 3 733 MHz. The processor stepping is 683. The cache size is 32/256K. That's L2 and L1 and L2 respectively. Put 512 megs of RAM in here. And there you go. And boot order. Alright, it'll boot from the DVD drive, so. That DVD drive is spinning up. Alright, let's do this. Alright, to get this to boot, I have to put the kernel on no mode set, and then start. So, here we go. Now I'm going to let this boot, and then take a closer look at what makes this thing tick. We have Ubuntu 10.04 all started up, and now it seems to run pretty well, although a little bit sluggishly, probably due to the processor and the graphics. So we'll go to System Monitor here. There's CPU usage. Not using too much RAM. A little bit of swap. So, system. Alright, here we go. It is a Coppermine Pentium 3 running at 733 megahertz. So that should be plenty fast for Windows 98. Let's check out the chipsets. Let's go to a terminal and type in LSPCI. Wow, that's a really short LSPCI list. Usually they're quite long in computers. This one doesn't have too much involved with it. So it's mostly Intel controllers and chips here. 82815. So this has an Intel 815 chipset. So that's quite old actually. It's better than my old 98 machine. That had a Intel 440 chipset, so that one was very old. So here we are. The audio, the onboard audio is Ensoniq. I don't know how good Ensoniq is, but V Westlife says that on his Compaq Deskpro, and the onboard audio is not that great, so I'm going to take his word for it. I ended up putting a Sound Blaster in anyway, so there you have it. You can pause that and read it if you like. So it's just mostly Intel chipsets that are in this computer. There is no onboard TNT2 like I thought there was, but that's just my misinterpretation of an eBay listing and me not knowing too much about these computers in the first place. This is the first one I've ever really touched. So, you know, there you have it. Seems to work though. Let's check the hard drive here, and I'll show you those bad sectors. Let's go to disk utility here. That DVD drive. Alright. So it sees it's a 15 gig hard drive. There's the model number of the hard drive in case you care. It's an ST315324A. Alright, so it's a little bit sluggish. And then its smart test says the disk has a few bad sectors. 5 bad sectors. It's only 4 or 5 bad sectors, so it's not that bad. And the only place it actually has a problem is in the reallocated sector count. So it's still a usable drive. Drives are meant to reallocate sectors. They're actually meant to do that. So they're in the reallocated sector count, but they're not in current pending sector count or uncorrectable sector count. So these I don't really have to worry about, but that means that I can't really trust the drive with anything important. So it'll just be a knockaround drive that I can use but not store anything important on. And, you know, there you have it. I also did I ran a self-test on it. I did the short one and it passed fine. So it can read and write just fine. So there's no real problem with the disk itself. It just has a few bad sectors. So it's a usable disk. It's just not one I would trust with anything important. So let's show you what that hard drive sounds like. And here's the inside of the machine while it's running, so you can hear that hard drive over the tape noise. It's not too loud of a hard drive, although when it seeks, it's pretty loud. You know what I'll do? I'll go back in disk utility here and run the test so that you can hear it seek. Run the short test here. Yeah, as you can hear, it's one of those sort of clunky old drives that last forever. Unfortunately, this one has a few bad sectors, but that's not too big a deal. No network connected. Well, let's shut her down. So, this is going to be my Windows 98 machine once I get that Riva TNT2 NVIDIA graphics card. So that'll be pretty nice. And should serve me reliably as a Windows 98 machine. And I'll do a full presentation on when I get that all completed and done and everything. But I thought I'd show you guys just what I got and what I've done to it so far. And I like this machine quite a bit so far, so I'm pretty happy with it. Drive spinning down there. I'm probably going to replace this 15 gig drive with either a 40 or actually a 40 is all I have, so I'll probably put a 40 gig drive in there and just leave it at that. The 15 gig drive I'll leave lying around because it still works. But I'm going to put a Western Digital 40 gig drive in there. One of the very reliable ones that I have. One of the WD-400s. Those things are tough as nails. So I'll probably drop the RAM back down to 128 megs, just like it came with, because I don't need much more than that with Windows 98 either. And, you know, there you have it. That's what's going to happen to this machine, and I just thought I'd briefly show it here. And hope you guys enjoyed seeing it. And have a good one, everybody. Ciao.